For someone that isn't as tapped in as you, what is the first step you can take to being able to listen to your intuition?
I think one of the biggest questions I get is, how do I know the difference between a thought and intuition?
I've honestly always had a fear, not a fear, but a resistance to playing like a leading man.
I mean, we can create jail cells for ourselves with our thoughts.
I've always had partners that were so attracted to me for my talent and success and then wanted to put it in a little box and have it grow no further than that.
And one of the biggest things that holds people back is when you believe that it's not possible for yourself, you don't move towards it.
You think that you're just shooting it into the air and no one's ever done it before, when it seems like no one's ever done it before. You go, who am I to do that then? Who is little old me to do this thing that nobody else has done?
Start to trust that imagination actually is a form of intuition.
Oldish, the show where age-old questions meet new-age answers. With your hosts, Randy Spelling, Brian Austin Green, and Sharna Burgess.
Welcome to Oldish.
So this has been a wild month. It's been a wild
has
ride.
been, right?
We have had great interviews here. We've made this our home.
Yeah, and we did photos and all sorts of things in preparation for
Our
the
new
start
photo
of this.
shoot. Our new photo shoot where we looked like we were releasing a country album, you know.
Oh,
Our
coming
magazine
soon.
cover.
Yeah,
It
magazine
was so much
cover.
fun.
It was so good. Can I tell you something about that photo shoot? Well, so we shot with
Brian Bowen Smith.
Brian Bowen Smith, who's this thank you, baby, this incredible photographer.
Incredible.
I had no idea how incredible he was, and Brian was like, he's the best. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, he's a photographer, but like, we did these photos, and I actually had a moment. I was looking back at what he'd taken on the computer screen, and it was the hottest and best I've felt since having Zayn. And I've had photos since then, like the press photos for Dancing with the Stars and the ones on set. And I remember going through them because you go through and you get to kill or keep what they're going to use for putting out into the world. And I was like, feeling bad about my skin or the way something looked like, having these insecurities come up. And then we shot with Brian, and I got emotional looking at them because I felt so good about them. Like, how often do you look at photos of yourself and feel good
He's
about
one of those
yourself?
where literally every single photo, I was saying this as we were doing it, even if I was like mid-blink or like mid-word or like something ridiculous looking, they looked really good. Like I was like, we could use that one.
You made
And
it look
it's
good. Baby, you look sexy in your photos. I
felt sexy.
was
Oh yeah!
like, I'll
Remember when
ta-
you did the
I'll
black
take
and
that guy.
white? And you
Yes.
did, like, I was like,
Woo, we're putting that one up on the wall in the house.
Okay.
and I was just the third wheel watching
Stop
this,
it right now.
trying
Your
to look
photos
okay.
were awesome.
Dude,
I
when
loved
I
your
had you
photos.
first come over and I was like, and you were like so kind of nervous. And so we're all, I would say Randy and I are more nervous than you are, baby, because you're really,
Yeah,
just
you're
really
natural.
photogenic and natural. He took literally one picture of you and he was like, it's not going to get any
So
better than
sweet.
this. And it was an amazing photo.
Oh, man.
But working with Brian he's so good at building your confidence early on. Like he gives you ideas and notes, and he's very he has complete faith in his eye and what it is he does. So when he's talking to you and he's got the camera and he's saying, "Oh, that's great," and he tells you, "Okay, turn your head a little bit, tilt it. Okay, don't move." Right. You feel like, okay, I must really be onto something
Right,
because
he's
he
got it.
sounds incredibly excited.
Yeah.
And then when you came over and you looked at the pictures, the first ones that we were taking, and you saw yours, I could see your attitude change about it all. All of a sudden, you got back in front of the camera and you were like, "Cool, let's do
I was
more
like,
of this."
okay,
you were all,
this
like,
is going
hyped
to turn
up
out
and,
well.
and it's exciting.
Isn't that a gift for someone to be able to create a safe environment like that for you, especially in a creative field, you know, to be able to, he's the best at what he does, but he makes himself so relatable and lovable and, you know, just, you don't feel uncomfortable being in his presence, but he also makes you feel so good, makes you feel like the superstar.
He makes it
and
all about you.
Makes it all about you. And so he creates this incredible space for you to just express yourself.
Every frame with someone new is something new to him, even though he's been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah.
And that co-creation. And that's kind of what I have felt in the last month doing this. It's been a whirlwind.
With each other.
But the co-creation of, for season 2, really now saying, here's exactly what we want to do. We've had season 1 under our belt, and we really want to give this experience to the audience. We're clear on what this is and
Our
who we
direction.
are. And
Yeah.
This stuff, being in the studio with incredible camera shooting it, and we have microphones with the Oldish name on it. It's the whole thing is just so cool to see, because it's like this, all of us equally created this. It
Right.
took it took all of us to make this. It
Yeah.
wasn't just one person's vision. Everybody else went, "Oh, that's amazing."
I'm
That's
really
great.
proud of us, you guys.
yeah.
And for and everyone listening that's like, wait, where do I see it? We are actually on Patreon and we are on Ghost right now. So you get to see our home
Yeah.
and actually see the video. And it is really, really fun. So make sure you guys, if you want to check it out and you'd like to also watch your podcast, you can go to oldishpodcast.com and it will have all the info there for you. So yeah, you can come
We
join
have
us on this
3
whole
tiers,
new journey. 3 tiers, yeah.
of subscription, and I think
Because
it's
we
super
have
fun.
all sorts of bonus segments that we're doing, games that we're playing with
Yeah.
guests.
We're also
Which-
we're now coming up with some merch we're going to be selling. We're hoping to this season and beyond do live events coming to cities near you, where we'll be in theaters and we'll be able to have people in the audience and kind of act
Interact, yeah.
alongside them. And
We're stepping up.
We're
Okay,
stepping
we
up.
are.
We're doing
Stepped
the
up.
things.
We're doing
We've
big
stepped
things.
We
up.
grew up.
For you, right?
I grew up
We
a
were
long time
oldish,
ago.
but we grew up,
I'm still growing. So,
Yeah, same.
so
Same.
speaking of stepping up, speaking of growing, what we were going to talk about today is what are the things right now that are making us feel really good?
Like
I think
the
it's
things we're
important to
doing.
talk about sometimes,
is.
right? Like, hey, what
Sometimes
are you
you
doing?
get so stuck in talking about what's really been hard and
Right.
what you can work on and all of that. And I think
Yeah.
for people to take a step back and go, okay, I'm just going to look at the things that like really have positively affected my life right now and really feel good and bolster my confidence.
Yes.
I think that's so important, and it's so easy to forget.
Yes.
Randy, what's something you've been doing that's made you feel good?
A couple things. So number one is movement. I always move, as you know.
You do.
Randy, you're so fit. You
I-
move. You
thank
move all
you.
the time. Let's be real. You're very fit.
All somebody has to do is follow you on Instagram. It's like, oh, this dude is either out jogging all day long, or you're a movement guy.
It might seem like that. The funny thing is, I mean, I'm no more than an hour in terms of working out, and that might be on a good day. But what I've realized is it helps me tremendously. It's not just I want to be at a certain weight or I want to look a certain way. For me, it's mostly mental and some physical. It is like how people take remedies or supplements.
Yeah.
Working out is a supplement for me, for my mind to function, to be clear, to have more energy. And I'm working with people all day long, so I have to make sure that my energy is up.
Sitting all
Right.
day.
Sitting, right?
Yeah.
But something that I've started working with differently, and this has been fun, is I'm working a lot more with my intuition. And I didn't attribute that to movement. So I do this with clients all day. It's so much easier, as you know, to be something, say something, preach something to
Right.
someone else,
Yeah.
right? How
Totally.
good is your advice to someone else? And then when you take it yourself, you're like, I think I need to do that. So I have been really trying to get more in touch with my intuition and work with that more.
Does that mean like trusting your intuition? I mean, because they
Like,
say
how do you do
everybody
that,
has
you know?
intuition. Is it just like for you a practice of I'm going to trust my intuition a little more and I'm going to see what the results are from it compared to questioning it and second guessing it before I see what is actually going
Yeah,
on?
it's a great question. So I think trust is the key that unlocks intuition. I think we all send and receive information all day long. Some people are more aware of that than others. Other people know how to interpret it. For me, I've always been intuitive as a kid, and then I kind of shut that down to just sort of like be normal and blend in, and then I got that back the older that I've gotten and the more clear I've been. So working with people has been a huge gift for me because I wouldn't know the answer a lot of times, or when I'm working with people in a large group, right? Or if I'm doing a speaking event and someone has a question, I have 2 minutes with someone. I can't get into asking them 12 different questions and learn as much as I would like to learn. So what I have to do is sort of like step aside and say, okay, what do I need to know the most? What is the question that needs to be asked here? What's
So then when you're sitting with someone, you're automatically in
comes.
that space of like, I'm feeling like you need a hug. Like, and you know, verbally, physically, like and you kind of trust that intuition.
I do, but
That's
a
amazing.
lot of times it scares the shit out of me, and especially early on, because I would see something. I would see a vision of a horse running through a field, or the other day with a client, there was something about a breathing technique with vines. And I was like, this sounds crazy, but I know now to trust it. Earlier on, I would be scared. My heart would start to beat fast because I didn't want to be wrong, or I didn't want to be looked at as he's crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So I would communicate these things, and I'd see a tear coming down someone's face, and it was a memory that they had, or you know, this like the vines thing. I suggested this, and she said, "Oh, I feel that. I feel that instantly." I was like, this is kind of cool. I'm gonna write this down. 'Cause
Okay,
I'd
well,
like to
let
do
me
this.
ask you this, because I think you are a very tapped in person, right? And you I think also put a lot of work and attention into your spirituality and being tapped into spirit.
Well, thank you.
You do. This is it glows all over you. But for someone that is like, yeah, I should trust my intuition. But like, man,
It's
it can be
hard.
hard to do that. So for someone that isn't as tapped in as you, what is the first step you can take to being able to listen to your intuition?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest questions I get is, how do I know the difference between a thought and intuition?
Yes.
And it's nuanced. It's not that easy. I'm not going to lie, but there are different ways. Like you both have talked about AK, applied kinesiology. You know, sometimes you could put your arm out, and
Yes.
something that you could do is stand up and put your feet together and say which way is a yes, and your body will naturally move one direction.
like a pendulum. People
Like a
use that for
pendulum.
things also. Yeah.
Yep. And you test that out a couple times, and then you get your yes, and then you say, okay, what's my no? You get your no, and then you can I've tested this so many times where I'd close my eyes and my daughter would put something on the plate. I would have no idea what the food or the thing is, and funny enough, everything that I tested, I already knew.
The answer
And
to
so
it.
I got the confirmation, but I didn't want the confirmation bias, because I thought, oh, if I know what it is, I'm gonna somehow affect it. So
That's
there's
very
ways,
cool.
there's ways like that. There's ways of just, you know, closing your eyes and asking yes or no. And again, sometimes that's hard because something will just pop in your mind. But the more that you do it, the more you ask a simple question. I think if you're at a big transition in life, you know, is this going to be the best move for me? There's so much angst,
It's
anxiety.
so charged. Yeah.
That is a hard time to do that. So start small. For anyone out there, start with something that doesn't have charge on it, that you're more neutral about, and start to practice. Like, what do I want for dinner tonight? What does my body want right now? Close your eyes and let something float into your mind. Maybe it's a letter, maybe it's a color, maybe it's a vision. Start to trust that imagination actually is a form of intuition. Look at all the sci-fi writers where did they pull that from? And they would, you know, write something for the future, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, that movie, they were right on.
Right.
I love. Okay, so then this is a challenge. I would love to challenge our oldish friends and family, right, that are here and hearing this from you right now, because I want to do it too. Try it, test it out, and then tell us how it goes. For real, I want to know if you can close your eyes, ask your body for a yes and no, get something put in your hand that you don't know about, and see what it says. I want to test this
So
out
my
this week. That's
my
amazing.
therapist that I had before, she was very into pendulum working. So I bought one, and it was the same thing you were talking about. Starting small, like I would literally hold it over a plate of food that I was about to eat, and you know, and figure out in speaking to it what is a yes and what is a no, and you sort of, you know, you figure out the answers and to the questions, and then I'd be able to like hold it over food and get a sense of like whether my body was ready for that or not. It was. And it's amazing, and it's absolutely like the kinesiology thing you were talking
Wow.
about. Your
It's very cool.
body
Intuition is something that daily blows my mind. Even in creating this, there are times where I will go through 10 different iterations of stuff or ideas. And I'm like, nope, this isn't it. And I'll text you both. Do you like this? Do you like this? Do you like that? And then the moment I still myself and say, oh, I forgot to actually ask, not just what my mind is telling me, what is it that this needs to be? And it comes in and it ends up working. And I've gone through my whole life, a lot of times not paying attention to that, quieting that voice, and it doesn't work out well. So the more tuned in I am, the better it seems to work out. And I've seen it with clients. I trust that.
Why do you think that it's a hindrance to like think to overthink things compared to letting your intuition step in?
I mean, we can create jail cells for ourselves with our thoughts. And there's something about overthinking. Thinking is good, right? Thinking is necessary and needed. But a lot of times when you're thinking, and this is for most people, like not all, some people's minds work differently. But when people are thinking, they're thinking about worst case scenarios. They're thinking about what ifs. They're thinking about things that they go beyond problem solving. And now it becomes this loop. And then what happens is people look at, well, what if this happens in the future? Then they're reacting to that possible future that they don't want to have happen. And then they're feeling anxiety in their body. And now they're reacting to a possible scenario that's in the future that they don't want to have happen. And they're spending their
But
energy.
then they manifest it by overthinking it so early on,
Right.
thinking that the worst is going to happen. So you create the worst happening
Exactly.
that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
And we
That's
definitely
happened to
done
me
that
so
before.
many times.
Definitely
so many
done that.
times. And we are such creative beings, but also silly in the sense that if we have this supercomputer, why not use it to imagine a future that we want? Because if you know that that future is possible, then you're going to take more steps to get there. I think one of the biggest things that holds people back is when you believe that it's not possible for yourself, you don't move towards it. If you believe that your dream is
It's
impossible,
manifesting
you
is
give up.
really what you're talking about. And we've discussed that a bunch. Manifesting is it's a real powerful tool.
You
and people
both
don't
talk a
realize
lot
it.
about that, right?
I did a course on manifesting, and you've reminded me of something from it, whereas you have to find examples that what you want is a possibility, right? Find a person like you, a character like you from a movie, someone that has created a single mom that built an empire. Like find those stories where you can read them and go, and you find yourself in it, and you can go, oh, it's possible. Because absolutely, when you think that you're just shooting it into the air and no one's ever done it before, when it seems like no one's ever done it before, you go, who am I to do that then? Who is little old me to do this thing that nobody else has done? But when you find yourself examples of like, oh, this person did it and she came from the same things and that person did it, find examples that it is possible. And I think then it's easier to like put the steps in to work towards it. Thank you for that reminder too, because I forgot about that part of my manifestation course. And that's a really important one.
Yeah. So you asked, going back to the beginning, about movement. So I've been challenging myself to ask, what do I need right now? And I'll check in with myself. And a lot of times it'll be resistance or strength training because I like the feeling that my body feels like. You know, when you get that kind of shaky feeling after, I like that because then my nervous system gets depressed and is relaxed and comes down. And I can go about my day because all my muscles, the energy in them have been used. So I don't have that sort of like, okay, there's a lot to do. I'm like, okay, I've got this.
Yeah.
That's really helped. On the way here, I got some news. My daughter got hit with a soccer ball in the face, and my adrenaline was going. And I just did this breath work. I was like, what kind of breath work do I need right now? Oh, okay, I'll do this one that I know. And again, it hit the
helped.
spot.
Because when
I
you
love
came
that.
in, when you came in the room, you were like full of anxiety. Like he came in. And was
My
Really?
adrenaline was
Yeah.
going. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
because
He was
of course, it's your
super
daughter,
anxious.
and you're not there.
And he couldn't
Right.
get on the phone with her, and he couldn't, like, there was nobody that could come by the school, and it was a whole thing of
Oh,
like,
it's
oh
so
my
stressful
God.
being a parent. Oh my god. Yeah.
When you're like, yeah, I wish I could drop everything right now and like just portal my way, you
right.
know, like
I was
that.
trying. I was like, how can I
Like Doctor
transport
Strange.
myself?
Yeah.
Can I be
You
the
know?
first person ever to teleport? I really think I can.
When I
Yeah.
figure that out, I'll let you know.
Please, my God, I would love that.
So physical activity, I've been doing a lot of that also. I've been getting
you
back
have.
into that recently.
Yeah,
Like I went for a period of time where because like my mind would get so bogged down with wanting work and trying to figure out what I was going to do next, and I've been spinning all these plates and doing all of these things. Being active just wasn't one of them. And probably like 3 months ago, I just got into a place where I was like, okay, I'm going to really get back into taking care of myself, eating better, working out, being physical, doing activities. And compared to you, where you were saying like when you feel that jittery feeling in your muscles afterwards, you feel like you've released a bunch of energy. To me, I love that feeling because then I feel like, oh, I've done something.
right.
Like, oh, I've been moving, and I'm sore, but it feels good to be sore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad that I'm sore, because the worst was when I didn't feel sore at all, and I'd look in the mirror and I'd go, oh my God, what am I like? What's happening to me? Like, I need to turn this boat around. So I had a moment, and I spoke about it before, but I had a moment where I was in the bathroom and I was kind of working out and, really like getting back into that again. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I had this realization and this flash of, for so long in my life, I have, instead of embracing whatever like possible separation and coolness factor of what I do and who I could reach and what I can be, I always wanted to keep myself sort of within the crowd. I didn't ever want to like shine above.
You didn't want to
anybody.
stand out.
Didn't want to stand out. And I think it's something that really happened with 90210 because it was so big and so much of my own personal life ended up being a part of the character and the show that I wanted to prove to everybody, like, oh no, I'm a normal guy. I'm just like all of you. And that became so ingrained in my being and the way I would work all day, every day, that as soon as I felt like I was shining too big, I was like, oh, bring that back down.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's a mistake that people make. Like sometimes they get afraid. You get afraid to shine. You get afraid to like kind of stand out for who you are and what you can do, because you're then afraid of the judgment or the criticism for it.
Yeah.
And now I'm honestly in a place where I'm like, you can say whatever you want. Like you can criticize me and I'm fine.
But how did you get there? Because there's a journey.
How did I get where?
How did you get to the place where at first you cared about what people thought, right?
Right.
Like, oh, I'm an actor, I'm successful, so on set, I'm going to show you that I'm the everyman's man. I'm just like you. I'm down to earth. I'm not this celebrity with a crazy, large ego.
Right.
How did you go from that to finally being at a place? Was it that one moment where you just thought, I'm actually okay to shine, or I want to shine?
I think we just in life like graduate to new levels and new understandings and new things. And with the neurological stuff that I went through, that was really a catalyst for me of finding this security in myself and feeling okay and like trusting myself and knowing I can speak to people. My opinion is a good one. I can really help some people in that. And so I think that looking in the mirror was just like another notch on the pole of I'm kind of open to life and I'm open to these things that come to me. And I don't feel like, oh, what is that void? Like, shut that thing up. I'm going to put that away. Instead, it's like, oh no, I remember looking in the mirror and I was like, God, that's an interesting concept. Like I've honestly always had a fear, not a fear, but a resistance to playing like a leading man. I've always had a thing in my mind of like, I would much rather be the offbeat kind of like buddy in something, and and be the sort of quirky, interesting, like an onion. Like there's all these layers, and he's a real complex character. Um, I never really was drawn to the good looking guy that is, and it was, and I fought against it for so long. And I was looking in the mirror and I was like,
Were you like, oh,
I'm turning
I'm the
51.
good-looking guy.
I'm turning 51 this year. Like I'm working out. I'm feeling good about myself looking in the mirror again. I was like, why am I pushing that away? Because the universe is answering that. The universe is like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, you don't want that. Fine. Then we'll have like the quirky stuff, but it's going to be a little more far and far in between and few, because there's not as much of that. And I'm in a weird space where I don't completely fit that more. Like they have a specific visual thing in mind for that type of a character. So I'm competing against other people in like a space that is not classically one that I would fit into.
Your look fits into, right?
So it was like this uphill. I was like swimming upstream for so long. And I'm finally in a place now where it's like, okay, all right, let's do
I think
this.
you're also, and this is not to put me into the equation of it necessarily, but I think you're also in a space and time and a relationship that supports you going after those things, that says
Yeah,
you can be those, take the opportunities, be the leading man.
absolutely.
And I don't believe that I don't know that you've had that support before, right?
Right.
And we've talked about this
Right.
before, where you're
Yeah.
finally in a space where someone goes, no, you are the fucking hot guy. You
I was
can play the
wondering-
leading man.
I was wondering how much of Sharna's involvement it is there, because there is something different. Like funny, you're talking about looking in the mirror, which is
Mhm.
looking at self,
Yeah.
right? And having this whole thing go on, which is probably within 15 seconds, but it feels like it's 15 minutes.
Right.
Having a partner who I'm not saying your other partners haven't. I'm just saying Sharna is definitely, you guys have something, right? I mean,
Absolutely,
it's
we have.
palpable, it's tangible, and the support and looking at you a certain way. Because I know I've been around you a long time. Everyone's always like, "Oh man, you're so good looking, Brian." Blah blah. Like,
Yeah.
people say it to you
Yeah.
all the time, so it's funny to hear you get to this place right
Finally
now.
see it.
Finally, when you're
Right.
like,
At
I'm
almost
not the
51
leading
years
man.
old.
I'm
Right.
the guy next door. Do you know how many people were probably like, I would love to look like Brian?
And you know what's crazy? Like, he builds me up with that all the time. And I'm so proud of him and happy that you're in that space and feeling it too. He's given me courage to try new things that I'm currently trying and building, and the things that I want to create and do in this next chapter of my life. I'm honestly, only reason I stepped into them is because Bri was like, baby, you can. You got this. And it was like, he gave me that courage and confidence. I think we do that for each other.
Yeah, I think when you have a partner that just supports you at like your toughest times, when you're questioning what you're doing and the choices you're making and who you are, and you have somebody that is a true cheerleader for you, that's invaluable. And that's not something that you find a lot.
No.
And it's those are the people now that we are trying to surround ourselves more with as friends, spend time with people. It's easy, I think, and people make this mistake all the time of they hang out with friends that are just kind of fun, but that aren't advanced further than they are. And I know, like, when I'm at work and there's somebody that's way better than I am, it pushes me to be better at something. When I surround myself with anybody that is like more advanced in any sort of way, it's like that part of me is energized and I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to learn. But if you surround yourself with people that are where you are or below that, it's nice to do every once in a while because it's nice to help people, but you still at the same time need to find some sort of a situation that inspires you and pushes you to grow.
Absolutely.
Have positive influence.
Was there a moment in your relationship, could have been early on, could have been yesterday, where it dawned on you, oh, wow, this is, my partner really sees me and this feels different for either of you?
I absolutely it's completely different to any relationship I've ever been in. I've never had a relationship where someone says, "Baby, fly. Remember you've got wings." And I'll be here, and if I need to remind you where the ground is, I'll remind you where the ground is, but please, for the love of God, use those wings and fly. I've
never said those exact
I was
words
like, wow,
because
that's
those aren't-
eloquent.
Okay.
You know me.
I was like, what moment was that? Were there roses involved?
There were a lot of ums
in between
There
and
was
a
a
lot of
lot
ahs.
of thinking. There was a lot of dead space, and she had to push words out of me where I was like, "Oh, that's the word I was
But
looking
the
for."
baby fly has definitely come from him, and in his many ways that he's said it to me, that has always been the way that I've took it and the way it stuck with me. I've always had partners that were so attracted to me for my talent and success, and then wanted to put it in a little box and have it grow no further than that. It was, and it was really hard, but it was all I knew. And so then to have a partner like Bri, where it's like, whoa, he believes in me. And to trust that too, that it's real. You're not just saying this and then
Yeah.
suddenly you're going to take it back. It's genuine and real of like, absolutely, I want this for you. And I'm right here and I can hold it down here while you go do that. And we do that for each other. It's like, no, babe, I got this. I'm going to hold it down while you go off and do that thing that is amazing for you. And we'll be here for you when you get back.
We'd only been dating for 4.5, 5 months. And I had to go to Sacramento to shoot something. And I was there for like 3.5, 4 weeks.
For 5 weeks, actually,
Was
in
it
the
5
end. Yeah,
weeks?
you had to stay an extra week.
And you stayed with the kids and everyone
She
for
stayed with the kids.
4 months.
For a month and a week, yeah.
Yeah.
5 weeks. They were with me at the house.
And
It was
and
amazing.
She,
Woo, was that what, like, birth by,
and
what
I
is
mean,
that?
Trial by
Trial
fire.
by fire. Like, I just became a
and
mom.
She,
for
yeah,
that.
she had, Zane wasn't born. She had been living in her house by herself with her 2 dogs. Like this lifestyle was just completely foreign to her, you would think. And she stepped into it so just effortlessly and was great with the kids, and the kids love her. And I had that moment of like, oh my God, like I can, because there's always been a part of me that fears that. Like I would, whenever work came up and my agents or my manager reached out to me and they were like, okay, it shoots in Atlanta or there's a thing that's here. I was always like, I can't go. I can't be away from home. I need to be around.
For the kids.
For the kids. Even if I didn't have to be, there was that part of my mind that was like, okay, well, a week and a half. Not that I couldn't leave them for a week and a half with Megan, but that thing of like, I've got to be around. So just in case. And it was so amazing to not have to do that. And then I would FaceTime with the kids and with her, and everybody was like so happy and laughing, and they went and did fun things.
We
and
went to
Legoland.
Legoland. I took 3 kids to Legoland. 3 kids under 10 years old. Who am I? I don't know.
She
What
got,
was I thinking?
She got a hotel
Someone
room.
else took over my body and was like, I'll help you through this. Like it was
She got a
just
hotel room
crazy.
for him. It was a whole like weekend thing
Listen,
that she had planned.
I
It was
went to
amazing.
Legoland months ago.
That place is crazy.
Oh,
What the hotel itself.
yeah.
Oh, we stayed in that.
You
yeah,
stayed
that
in
was
a
an
hotel.
experience. That was an experience.
Like
in
the
a room that
breakfast
was like
alone
pirate?
was like cattle.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
Pirate
yes,
themed?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
That was an
crazy.
intense thing. Like the disco and the,
We're actually talking about going back there for this summer break because I think Legoland is something that Zane would enjoy because it's like quite young for kids.
right.
Right? Is it?
We're also
Am I
we're also
am I
talking about
misremembering?
doing like California Adventure at some point
'Cause he's obsessed with
he's
cars.
obsessed with cars and a lot of
Yeah.
the Pixar stuff, and all of that is in California Adventure. So even if you can't ride on all this stuff, to walk around and be like, to see Lightning McQueen and Mater and the
He
whole.
says
I think it'd
Mater.
be-
He says
Yeah.
Mater.
Yeah.
It's so
Mater.
cute.
Yeah,
So cute.
it's really cute.
I love you, baby.
I love you too, baby.
So Sharna,
Yes.
what's making you feel good lately?
Couple things actually. So I'm now like 3 or 4 months deep on doing Armra, and I love it. Armra is a colostrum supplement, and
Yeah.
so people have probably seen it all over Instagram. Bri actually reached out to them. You've been doing it for what, a year now? A while? 6
No,
months?
it's like 6 months.
6 months. So
Yeah.
I'm probably about 3
amazing.
months.
So it's colostrum. So it is the first milk of the breast milk.
Yeah, that's
with all the things in it.
Yeah.
Comes from bovine, and it has all the immunoglobulin goodness in it that's supposed to heal your gut and all the mucosal linings in
See,
your
I love
body.
that
See, I
Randy's
trust
gonna get
what
into
you
the
say.
technical
Yeah.
of all of this, because to
All
me, I'm
I-
like, oh, it's a powder, and you add it
All
to
I know
water.
is Instagram said it was good.
and my gut feels great.
The people on Instagram were really excited about it. I got influenced. Well, Brian got influenced, and I got influenced by him in seeing and hearing from him the difference and how much he was loving it. And then two of the doctors that take care of us, holistic, and one that's more into like the peptides and nutrition, both of them were like, Amra.
Armor's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we started
And
taking
we were like,
it,
oh
and
my
I
God,
love
we're
it.
already taking it. And they were like, oh, did you hear that from us? It was like, no, we're on our own.
What difference did you notice from it?
Gut health in general, but I do feel like my hair has started to feel a little bit thicker, which is amazing. Bri said he's been noticing.
Skin feels better. It's not as
Skin
dry.
feels better.
For me, gut health. I mean, coming from dealing with ulcerative colitis and all that kind of stuff, anything where I start feeling like the inflammation, the internal inflammation in my gut and in my body is going down, it feels amazing. Energy feels better.
Sleeping too. But yeah,
Joints
really good.
feel better. Like it's
I
just
love that
changed
stuff.
all of that for me.
Okay.
So I did try the mushroom coffee that Bri's been doing, and it tasted amazing.
You were on a
but-
kick for a month, 2 months?
maybe a month, but I found that it tastes the best with oat milk, right? But it was too much oat milk for
Yeah.
my stomach, and it started to not do good things for me. So I switched from that, and we've actually gone back to bulletproof coffee. You blend it up, and I'm actually loving that. It really helps with the fasting, so to speak. It I honestly, it gives me all the energy that I need and focus that I need until we break our fast after 12:30. So I feel really good with that. We were doing it when we were in the season. I've done it over the years and just fell off of it. Honestly, when Brian and I started dating, I got on the oat milk lattes, and it was like, that was
Forget
a wrap
about it.
on black coffee. And
Yeah, she was
bulletproof.
just like
Right,
black
right.
coffee, and like she was just.
Oh, I was so good at
You
it.
went
I was
from
fine with a black
Australian
coffee.
to American, right?
Yeah,
Coffee.
Coffee?
Yeah.
Oh, in Australia, you can have a black coffee, no problem.
Oh,
It's
Right,
amazing.
It's
right.
delicious.
But here,
Delicious.
isn't that the whole joke? It's like there's, all the milk and the
crazy.
things and the sugar. And
Yeah, there's so
yeah.
much. And I fell into that
I've
rabbit hole.
been drinking this keto ester. It's called. It's like a keto aid. You do a shot of it in the morning, and it
It is horrendous
it
in the way
quickly
it tastes.
throws your
though.
body
I
into
gotta
ketosis.
be honest.
So for me,
I'm so interested in this, by the
Dude,
way. We were
it
talking
is.
about this
Yeah, he sent
a little
me-
bit earlier.
because we were talking about it, and then his phone automatically sent him something of like,
Stop it on
some
ketones?
keto.
So literally
Oh
aid.
my
12
God,
at
Apple,
night.
you're not even trying to hide it at this
12
point.
at night, I'm
Like,
texting Brian, and I'm like, I'm getting ketone drinks. Is this the one? And
But
he was like, no.
No, because the one he sent me was in like a can, and it had like it was
Oh,
it had
no,
like a
this is a
spray up the
shot.
top as they were popping it open. It looked
Yeah.
all
He was like,
refreshing.
no, it's worse than that.
No.
It's more
brutal.
intense.
But
I'm
it
telling
is
you that-
amazing.
Oh, it's amazing. It feels great. It keeps, for me, doing the intermittent fasting to not eat until 12:30. I feel fine. Like I'm not having those cravings in that weird sense at all.
or
Like, I feel
brain
great.
fog or anything like that. It's
Yeah,
really
you're energized. You feel like you had your cup of coffee in the morning without having the like jitters of
Right.
coffee.
So are you doing intermittent fasting intermittently, or is it every
single day.
Every day. So
day,
you have
I
a
don't eat
6
until 12:30,
hour
and
window?
I only get until 6:30.
Sometimes we eat a little later than that, to be fair.
I did,
But
nighttime is the hardest for me.
yeah.
I think because I've then started eating in the day, and so now I'm not on the ketone shot that I did in the morning.
Right.
So now my body is like,
Give me
bro,
food."
pasta, let's do this.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
you know,
Let's eat.
Don't you really want a steak? I would love a steak right now.
But
Dude.
before we finish, though, I did want to say one thing that has been making me feel really good is that the last month and a half, 2 months, last 2 months, I've been back dancing again.
That's right. I saw that.
And it's, what's been so unreal. So I started getting back into it because I have a job coming up in end of July, August, and September. And I need to be in like absolute ultimate dance shape for that. And I'm fit right now, but dance fit is a completely different thing. And I've known for a long time, Bry's also been saying it to me, baby, you got to get back in and like start dancing. And it's like, okay, so I had the motivation come up because his job's coming up. But as soon as I started dancing, I realized, oh my God, I haven't danced just for the love of it since I was a teenager. I have constantly been, and a young teenager, I've been competing on a high level since I was like 14 years old, then straight into the industry and working. It has always been for a placement in a competition or work and on a TV show. And so to just be in the studio with no cameras, no choreography that had to be made, no deadline for when it had to be done by, to just create and feel my body move just for me was unreal. Like the joy we talk about how you felt about your ex, when you're moving your body like this, my soul lit up again. She was like, thank you. I've been
We
like
used to talk about it all
waiting
the
for you to
time.
see me. And now thank you for seeing me and
I was
nourishing
like, baby, you're a
me.
dancer. Like you've been dancing your whole life. I cannot imagine what it's like for your body and your mind and your soul right now to not be doing that.
Yeah.
Because her entire life she's been dancing and competing. That has literally been what her life is.
You said it on an episode. It was back in season 1, and you were sharing something, and Brian said, I'm just having a moment here. I'm just putting this together that you've been dancing your whole life, and now you're not. Wow. And it really, it hit you in that moment. So, wow.
And I think, and we had started talking about it before that, but I think then from that point forward, it really became a topic, like a consistent topic of conversation.
Yeah, at home he'd remind me
Yeah.
that I needed to dance.
I love that you're dancing again.
So
And then
and I see videos of it, like she'll set up the iPhone while she's dancing with somebody, and you can tell she's having so much fun. She's like laughing when she's having trouble remembering things.
Oh my
because
God, yeah.
she never had before. Like you could show her choreography one time and she'd be like, okay, got it.
Got it, yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's because she hasn't used that muscle in so long. It's not the same.
yeah.
But she's enjoying the fact that it's not like that. She's not like frustrated with herself, and it's not like when I used to play golf and I would want to like hit clubs against a tree when I would play horribly because it was like I spent all this time practicing. Like she's really genuinely enjoying it, which it's so good to see.
It's just really beautiful to feel. And even when I mess up or lose my balance, I do get frustrated, but I can laugh it off because there's no pressure on it. It's like I'm just figuring it out for me. Yeah. And soon there will be pressure on it because I will be on a stage and I'm going to want to have my balance at that point. But in this point of discovery and remembering, I really just, the inner child in me is just like, thank you. And it feels so good.
That's it. Is being able to get in touch with that inner child. I mean, it doesn't mean that one has to make it a hobby or even make money from it. But if there's something that you love to do, if there's a way that you like to play or create.
Randy and I were talking about this yesterday at the house because I have a studio at the house, and he was like, and he was like, I just want to get some equipment again because you have some. You were like, I just like having a setup somewhere. Even though I'm not really doing it that much, just to know that I can do it if I want to. Like
because I was at the studio, at your studio, and I said, one day soon, I want to get a mini little studio and get equipment. I have none, and it's been years since I've made music.
And you forget about it.
But it's in my heart. I don't want to be on stage necessarily doing anything. I just want to do it because it's something that when I'm creating, time bends, and that is just, it puts a smile on your face.
I love that. The things that make us feel good, you guys.
It's not hard. You just have to pay attention to life around you, and then the things that give you that extra spark, just like lean into them.
But you know what's funny about that is sometimes the simplest things are actually the hardest. Like I know I should meditate every day. Do you think I do? No. I should have started dancing a year ago, 2 years. Like the minute I could put on my dance shoes. Right.
And
but I say that to say I don't want people to be like, oh, it's so easy for other people. Why do I struggle so much?
We talk
sometimes
about
it's
that
hard.
all the time.
When you're out of practice, when the muscle hasn't been used, it's that same thing as like you go to the gym every morning. You have a couple of mornings when you don't go to the gym and you've got to reignite that pattern again to like get back up and go do that for yourself. It's the same thing. I think we all struggle with doing things for ourselves, number one. I think we all struggle with sometimes having consistency when it's things for ourselves too. We put other people in front of those things all the time. So hopefully people can listen to this episode.
We're
and be
all
like,
in this together.
I'm going to pay a bit more
even the
attention.
people that you see where you envy them and you go, man, that person's like really evolved compared to me. It's everybody. It takes work from everybody. So just do it. Just like commit to doing something that's hard, but trying to be as consistent as possible. And it'll get easier and easier as you do that, I find.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if there's something that makes you feel good that you find,
Just try it.
just try it.
Speaking of to make you feel good, this guy, he's available.
Yeah.
Reach out to him. He's on Instagram.
I'm available.
at
Sounds
Randy
like
Spelling.
like a dating site. This guy
Yeah.
is
He
available.
is available to make you
Right?
feel good.
What is
Well,
And if you don't like him, you swipe left, and it's
Well,
done.
yeah, you swipe
You'll never
left,
have
yeah.
to deal with him again.
Can you say a little bit more? So it's
So
He
he's
is
at
a
Randy
gigolo.
Spelling
Oh, sorry, wrong
on
business.
Instagram, or you can go to randyspelling.com / what is it?
help.
Help.
So if there's something that you need support with, if
Right.
there's something that you don't know what lights you up anymore, or a change that you want to make, or you're dealing with something that's hard, reach out. Whether I'm the right person to help you or I can lead you in the right direction,
He will.
reach out, because again, we're all in this together. You know, I've worked with people professionally for 16 years
Yeah.
now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so funny. Just guiding someone in the right direction can make all the difference, and that's what we're doing.
It's
with
an
the
amazing
show.
gift that you have to do that. And
Yeah,
I,
Randy,
I
you
love,
have that gift.
I love whenever we sit together and we speak. Go to oldishpodcast.com and you can see all the different tiers that we have available for Patreon and for Ghost. If you want to watch this, thank you so much for joining us.